You're at a party. Across the room, there's a woman who's getting attention from three different guys. One's buying her drinks. Another's complimenting everything about her. The third guy? He's barely looking at her. He's telling a story to his friends, laughing, completely absorbed in his own world. Guess which one she can't stop thinking about on her drive home? If you said the third guy, you're catching on to something that most men completely miss about attraction. And here's what's wild. It has nothing to do with looks, money, or even confidence in the way you think. It's about creating one specific emotional experience that women become absolutely addicted to. Let me show you what I'm talking about. There's this guy named Marcus I used to work with. Average-looking dude. Drove a beat-up Honda. But he had this pattern where women would pursue him relentlessly. I'm talking about women texting him first, showing up at places they knew he'd be, finding excuses to be around him. And one night, after watching it happen again, I asked him what his secret was. His answer changed how I understood attraction forever. He said, "I make them feel like they're discovering me, not auditioning for me." Think about that for a second, because here's where most guys get it completely backwards. They think attraction is about impressing women, showing value, demonstrating worth, proving they're a catch. So they perform, they seek approval, they monitor her reactions like they're taking a test. And in doing all of this, they create the exact opposite of what actually draws women in. Here's what most people miss about desire. Desire doesn't come from what you give someone. It comes from what you make them feel about themselves when they're around you. And the feeling that makes women chase, it's not being impressed. It's not being flattered. It's not even being attracted in that instant. It's feeling free. Let me paint you a picture of what I mean. Imagine a woman's daily experience. She goes to work, and male colleagues are either overly professional because they're scared of HR, or they're subtly seeking her approval through jokes, helpfulness, or trying to find common ground. She goes to the gym, and guys are either staring or pretending not to stare. She opens her dating apps, and there's 100 messages from men trying to say the right thing, asking the right questions, essentially performing for a chance. Her entire romantic landscape is filled with the people who want something from her, people whose emotional state depends on her response. Now she meets someone different, someone whose energy doesn't change based on her reactions, someone who's genuinely amused by his own thoughts, someone who challenges her perspective not to impress her, but because he actually disagrees, someone who might end the conversation first because he has somewhere to be. Here's the thing. This person makes her feel something she rarely experiences. The freedom to just exist without the weight of someone else's expectations. And that feeling, that's what she'll chase. But here's where it gets interesting. And this is crucial. This isn't about playing games or pretending not to care. Women can smell fake disinterest from a mile away. This is about something much deeper. It's about having such a solid relationship with yourself that you genuinely don't need her approval to feel okay. It's the difference between acting confident and actually being at peace with who you are. Let me break this down into what I call the freedom framework, the 3 elements that create this magnetic pull. First, self-contained energy. There's a guy at my local coffee shop. He comes in every morning, always has his headphones on, always reading something. Sometimes it's a book, sometimes his laptop. Women constantly try to get his attention. They'll sit near him, make eye contact. One woman literally accidentally bumped his table, and he's polite, but he goes right back to what he's doing. Is he playing hard to get? No. He's actually absorbed in what he's doing. He's not there to meet women. He's there because he has this morning ritual that matters to him. That's self-contained energy. It's when your sense of being centered comes from inside, not from external validation. And here's what happens neurologically. Humans are pattern recognition machines. When a woman encounters a man whose emotional state doesn't fluctuate based on her presence or absence, her brain flags this as rare. Rare equals valuable. Valuable equals worth pursuing. Think about this. When you're talking to someone and they're hanging on your every word, waiting for your approval, You relax. You know you have their attention. But when you're talking to someone who's equally happy to end the conversation, who has their own thoughts running parallel to the interaction, you lean in. You work harder. You start performing. So what do you do with this? Build a life that genuinely fulfills you independent of female attention. And I don't mean fake it. I mean actually do it. Develop interests that absorb you. Create routines that matter to you. Have standards for how you spend your time. Because when a woman enters your life and realizes that your happiness existed before her and doesn't depend on her, you've just communicated something more attractive than any pickup line ever could. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone to join something already complete. Here's what happens next that most guys never see. When you have genuine self-contained energy, you stop monitoring. You stop that subtle tracking of her reactions. Am I being interesting enough? Did she laugh at my joke? Is she into this? That constant emotional checking in that kills attraction faster than almost anything else. A woman can feel when you're monitoring her, and it makes her feel trapped, like she's responsible for your emotional state. But when you stop monitoring, when you're genuinely engaged with the conversation for its own sake or comfortable with silence, she feels something different. Safety. The safety to be real, to disagree, to have her own reactions without managing yours. Let me show you how this actually works in conversation. Bad. So, what kind of music do you like? Cool. Yeah, I like that too. Have you been to any concerts lately? This is monitoring. Every question is a search for common ground, for approval, for a way forward. Good. I've been obsessed with this jazz fusion album lately. It's weird because I normally hate saxophone, but something about the way they layer it. Pauses, actually thinking about it. What do you like? See the difference? The second version is someone sharing something real, not searching for the right thing to say. The question at the end is a genuine curiosity, not a fishing expedition. Here comes the second element. Benevolent indifference. This sounds like a contradiction, but stay with me. Benevolent indifference is caring about someone's well-being while being completely indifferent to whether they choose you. It's the sweet spot between, I don't care about you, and I need you to like me. I learned this from watching my friend Sarah interact with guys. She's one of those women who always has options, and I asked her once what makes her actually pursue someone. She said, when a guy seems like he'd be genuinely happy for me, even if I chose someone else. When he wants good things for me, but doesn't need to be the source of those good things. Let that sink in, because this is the paradox that drives attraction. The less you need to be chosen, the more attractive being chosen by you becomes. When a woman senses that you have a genuine abundance mindset, not because you're juggling multiple women, but because you genuinely believe there are many people you could connect with, she stops feeling like you're trying to lock her down. And that freedom makes you more attractive. Picture this scenario. You're on a third date. She mentions she's not sure what she's looking for right now. Low value response. Oh, well, I'm flexible. We can take it slow. Whatever you need. Translation. Please don't leave. I'll adjust myself to keep you. High value response. I appreciate you being straight with me. I'm looking for something real, so if you're not in that space, no hard feelings. I think you're great, but I also need to honor what I'm looking for. Translation. I want you, but I want me more. The second response does something powerful. It shows you have standards. It shows you value your own needs. And paradoxically, it makes her question whether she's making a mistake by not being sure. You've just activated loss aversion in her brain. But here's where people mess this up. They turn benevolent indifference into a tactic. They fake it. They pretend they don't care when they're actually obsessing, and women pick up on. This immediately because the energy is off. Your words say one thing, but your energy, the way you wait for her texts, the subtle disappointment when she's busy, the forced casualness, says another. Real benevolent indifference comes from actually building a life where romantic success is one source of fulfillment among many, where you have friends who matter, work that engages you, hobbies that absorb you, personal growth that excites you. When these things are real, you naturally embody this energy without trying. So, what do you do to develop this? Start making decisions based on what you want, not what will keep her interested. If you want to see her Tuesday, but she suggests Friday, and Tuesday actually works better for your schedule, say, Tuesday works better for me. But if Friday's the only option for you, let's plan for next week when we both have more flexibility. Notice what this does. You're not being rigid or inflexible. You're being real about your preferences and treating your time as valuable. Most guys would just say, Friday's great, and rearrange everything, communicating that her time is more valuable than theirs. Now, here's the third element, and this is the one that really seals the deal. Emotional challenge. You know what women complain about most in relationships? Boredom, predictability, guys who always agree, guys who are too nice, too available, too eager to please. And here's the controversial truth that backs this up. Women don't want to feel safe all the time. They want to feel safe with you, but they also want to feel slightly uncertain about you. They want to feel like they're still discovering layers, like you're not fully figured out. This is what I call emotional challenge, the quality of being genuinely yourself, to the point where you'll disagree. You'll call her out lovingly. You'll have boundaries. You'll maintain mystery not through manipulation, but through actually having depth. Here's what most people miss about it. They think emotional challenge means being disagreeable or playing devil's advocate for sport. No, it means you have strong opinions that aren't easily swayed. It means you notice things about her that others don't, including things she could improve. It means you're not a mirror reflecting back everything she wants to see. Real scenario. She tells you about a conflict with her friend, expecting sympathy. Every other guy would say, "Wow, that's terrible. She sounds toxic." You say, "I hear you, but is it possible you're not seeing her side? Because from what you told me last week, she's going through something heavy. Maybe her reaction wasn't about you. What just happened?" You didn't automatically take her side. You challenged her perspective. And if she's a mature woman, this is incredibly attractive because it shows you see her as an equal capable of handling disagreement, not as a fragile thing that needs to be handled. But here's where it gets really interesting. Emotional challenge also means you maintain your own mystery, not by withholding or playing games, but by having inner depth that takes time to discover. You don't explain yourself unless necessary. You don't overshare to create false intimacy. You let her wonder what you're thinking sometimes. I watched this play out with my friend Tom. Early in dating his now wife, she texted him late one night asking what he was up to. He was actually just reading. Most guys would have started a conversation. "Just reading? Kinda bored? What about you?" Tom texted back, "Reading something interesting. Talk tomorrow?" And went to sleep. She told me later that moment stuck with her. Not because she felt rejected, but because he had his own thing going on. He wasn't available just because she reached out. It made her more curious about what he was reading, what his inner world looked like. So, what do you do to create healthy emotional challenge? Stop cushioning your disagreements. If you think differently, say so. If she asks for your opinion, give your real one, not the one you think she wants to hear. If she's doing something you don't respect, address it calmly but directly. Women would rather know where they stand with a man who has backbone than guess about a man who agrees with everything. And maintain your own complexity. Don't lay out your entire life story, philosophy, and future plans in the first few dates. Let her discover you gradually. Have thoughts you keep to yourself. Have parts of your life she doesn't see yet. Not as manipulation, but because you're an actual person with depth. Here's the pattern that emerges when you combine all three elements. Self-contained energy makes her notice you. Benevolent indifference makes her feel free around you. Emotional challenge makes her want to figure you out. Together, these create what I call the freedom paradox. She feels more free with you than with anyone else, and that freedom makes her not want to leave. Because here's the secret. Most women aren't looking for someone who needs them. They're looking for someone who chooses them but doesn't need them. Someone who would be fine without them but prefers a life with them in it. That's the feeling that makes women chase. Let me bring this all together with one final example. There's this guy named David who epitomizes this entire framework. He's a photographer, deeply into his work. He'll cancel plans if he gets good light for a shoot. When women show interest, he's warm but not eager. He'll end dates when he said he would, even if they're going well. He disagrees when he disagrees, and women pursue him constantly. I asked one of his ex-girlfriends why she was so drawn to him. She said, "I never felt like I had to be anyone but myself around him. He wasn't trying to impress me or lock me down. He was just living his life, and I wanted to be part of it. And honestly, I was never quite sure if I was special to him or just someone he enjoyed. And that kept me so engaged." That's it. That's the feeling. You're not a fan hoping for an autograph. You're not an employee hoping for approval. You're not a contestant hoping to win. You're a person with your own gravity, your own mission, your own standards. And when she realizes that being in your orbit is optional, that you're not going to chase or convince or perform, that's when she starts chasing you. Because in a world full of men who need her validation, you're the one who doesn't. And that makes you the one she can't stop thinking about. The guy at the party who wasn't paying attention, he wasn't playing a game. He genuinely had something more interesting going on than monitoring whether she was interested. And that's exactly why she couldn't stop thinking about him. That's the feeling women chase. Not being impressed, not being flattered, being free. Now go create that in your own life, not as a tactic to attract women, but as a way of honoring yourself. The attraction will follow naturally.